Hello, welcome to the 2.2a lines video for geometry. We're going to be talking all about different kinds of lines and different kinds of planes that the lines are part of and terminology that goes along with them. We're going to start off with parallel lines, two lines that are coplanar and do not intersect. We got a box down here showing 6 different planes and a bunch of different lines. Let's see how many lines we have here. I think we've got 12 lines. Let's talk about some different pairs of parallel lines here, and some of them are easier to see. For instance, this pair of lines here, like the very top edge, we've got line AD and line BC. Those are parallel. A pair that's not quite as easy to see. Let's go with this dotted purple line here. Let's see. There's actually a pair of parallel lines right here. We've got line AE, all right, and line GC, all right. Now, while it's not as obvious, there is a plane that goes between these, all right. Now, that plane is not one of the sides of this box that we're showing here. The plane that would describe this is actually a plane that would go diagonally through that box, all right. But they are coplanar, all right, and they do not intersect, all right. Those are parallel lines. The parallel line symbol, if we were going to say things are parallel to one another, sometimes they're a little bit slanted in how we write it, but it could be just a directly straight up and down symbol. Like in this case, we got line RS is parallel to line TV. Sometimes I like to make mine a little bit slanted, but it's kind of up to you on that. They both mean the same thing, but it's two lines that are parallel with each other, symbolizing parallel lines. So this line is parallel to this line. All right. Now here's a lot of different parallel lines, and I think this first diagram that we had here actually showed a lot of the different pairs. I'm going to clear out what's drawn here. Like the top lines are red lines, and they've got the two, you can kind of see they've got these 2 arrows here. Well, those 2 arrows indicate that these are the two lines with the 2 arrows on them are parallel to one another. These 2 lines here, they're red, but they only have 1 arrow. Well, the 1 arrow lines are parallel with one another. And that's just one way of writing that. Okay. And there's quite a few different parallel lines within this diagram. At the bottom, SZ is parallel to RY. Got the vertical lines. We could even do vertical lines like this. We could say line WZ, all right, is parallel with line PS. That's the left edges of this box, all right, vertical edges. Now, lines can be parallel with other lines than just one. Like if I want to say what are all the parallel lines with line PS, like I drew here, well, we drew one, WZ. Well, also QR is parallel to it, and XY, line XY is parallel to it. All right. You can also have parallel planes, 2 planes that do not intersect. All right. Now, a good way to think about parallel planes is if I were to have a line in each of the planes, then the lines would need to be parallel with each other as well. Like if you had 2 parallel lines, then the planes that include those lines would also be parallel planes. That was a better way of saying that. But again, if you've got the nice thing, I like these using boxes to show these planes because we can say like the top and the bottom represent a pair of parallel planes. Like the left side and the right side of the box is another pair of parallel planes. And then the front and the back represent the third pair of parallel planes within a box. All right. Now, just remember when you are naming them, right? When you are naming them, if you're talking about planes, you got to use at least 3 points. So if I want to say the top and the bottom are parallel, I could say plane WXQ is parallel to plane SZR. All right. Now it does not matter what 3 points I pick, as long as those 3 points are non-collinear. You just need to make sure that they're all on the same plane. They're coplanar points. All right. So this would be an example of just showing the top plane and the bottom plane are parallel to one another. Perpendicular lines, 2 lines that intersect to form a right angle. All right. So on the example on the left, we have 2 lines on a plane, line F and line D. They intersect and form a right angle. Well, we could show a very similar situation over here if we looked at lines PS and line SR. They intersect and form a right angle, okay, making them perpendicular. Okay, now the terminology for this, if I were going to use the ones we did over here, we got line PS is perpendicular, and the way you do a perpendicular symbol is you make a little perpendicular line. Okay, let me erase that. It got a little extra one down there. Let's try this again. So there, that's a little better. But again, it's just going to be 2 lines perpendicular with one another. So line PS is perpendicular to line SR. Okay, and that's how we could symbolically show that 2 lines are perpendicular to one another. Right, so that's like I was just showing you guys, just that little perpendicular symbol in between. Planes are perpendicular if they form a right angle. So again, the box is a really good example for this. If we wanted to say, let's look at the top and the right-hand side. All right, so we got the top and the right-hand side here. Well, this top and the right-hand side form a right angle where they meet. Not only do they form a right angle kind of at these corners, but everywhere along their intersection line there would be a right angle from one plane to the other, all right, making the planes perpendicular. Now you can use the same symbolic way to show that planes are perpendicular. So I'm going to do WXQ. So plane WXQ is perpendicular to plane RQX. Okay. Again, symbolic way of writing that we have 2 perpendicular planes. All right. So we got a bunch of different perpendicular planes here. Again, as long as we're picking 2 that are right next to each other, we should be good. Like the top and the front. And plane BAD is perpendicular to plane AEH. Okay, because they do make that right angle kind of going this way. All right. We could do like the bottom and the back, the side and the back, the side and the front. Again, as long as you're picking 2 planes that intersect at a line, when you're using a box like this, then you're going to have a pair of perpendicular planes. Skew lines. Okay, this is one that we probably haven't learned this one like in elementary school. Parallel lines is one you've probably talked about. Skew lines are 2 non-coplanar lines that do not intersect. So while you have parallel lines are lines that don't intersect, but parallel lines are coplanar. These are 2 lines that are non-coplanar and don't intersect. All right. So an example of this would be, let's do line PS and line QX. All right. Now, they're 2 lines. All right. This one's along the edge of the box over here going vertically. This one is along the edge of the box going horizontally. All right. They are skew because they'll never intersect. All right. But they're not on the same plane either. All right. While they are both, like, point P is on the top plane, which is the top of the box, and this line XQ is in that plane. So every point on XQ would fall in that plane. Again, they're non-coplanar because all these other points above and below the top, all right, are non-coplanar, which makes the line non-coplanar. So this is just one example of skew lines. There's actually quite a few skew lines. Okay, let me erase this and just go through another example. Uh, like you could take, let's take that skew line that we had here, PS. We started with PS. Let's start with PS again. All right. Now we used XQ as a skew line, but there's actually a few other skew lines on here. One that's similar to the XQ skew line is this one, the bottom one right here. Line RY would be skew to PS. All right, but there's actually two more in this diagram that are skew. Line YZ is skew to line PS. All right, now it looks like if I were to draw it, that it would intersect, but that's not really intersecting because this line ZY, that's on the back edge, and this is on the front edge. So they'd actually pass behind, ZY would pass behind PS. And our last one here is this one here, line WX. Sorry, I got a little slanty there. Still a little slanty. But again, line WX is going to be skewed to line PS because it's going to also go behind PS because PS is on the front, WX is on the back. And we do not have a symbol for skew line, so if we we're going to say that, we would need to write it out. Like line PS is skew to line WX, we would write out the word skew.